Hi, let's write my book. Talking to myself, self, who's being filmed as myself. Whether or not I'm SAG or doing this non union, I'm doing something by myself, playing myself. So if I was SAG, I can appear as myself in movies or television if they're non-narrative like documentary and stuff like that. And I'm going to talk about all this kind of stuff and the real reasons why it's okay to film things and how you do it properly in film production, and as a director, the creative side too, coming up with the creative ideas and the cool things that you want, the things you want to film. And as a writer, director, those are very creative. Producer, somewhat creative, maybe creative, may not be at all. Getting the legal things done properly, like where you can get permits, stuff like that, which I did. I went to one of the best film schools to learn more about it, but you can learn in books. Of course, most people know about film production, something about film production. No, Quentin Tarantino didn't go to film school, and many big directors didn't go to film school. So you don't have to go to film school, but I did. So I'm going to start writing my book again. Of course, I've started this more than a year ago. I've been writing this book for more than a year. So I think it'll make a bunch of money. I really do. I think it should be a bestseller because teaching is my history. I'm not going to talk about it too much, but this is me with an MFA from one of the best film schools, teachers in my family generations back, where I have a gift and ability to teach, huge resume in film production, ability to know how to do it really well, and at teaching you how to do it, and an MFA, so I could be teaching at the university level and teaching you how to film. And this is me reading through the book, writing the book, my original book that shows you how to be a filmmaker. So anyone can buy this book and really, it's probably the best filmmaking book that you can learn from. But you can, I don't want to say I'm better than others, because there are some good books out there. And I've had to learn to let's do this. And I've done this since the 90s. I was filming videos actually in 1987, and I'm probably, if anyone should deserve a best-selling book for how to be a filmmaker and how to teach you how to do filmmaking, I really think it's me. But I'm not gonna, I don't know what's gonna happen from this, but I think I'll make money. I do know, I think it'll make money, and I think I deserve to. After I've been at this since 1997, I moved to LA in 1997 to be a filmmaker, a film writer, director, behind the camera person. And I'm not going to worry about it, but I know what I'm doing. You know what you're going to know what you're doing. This is going to show you how to be a filmmaker all in one book. You can go out there and be a filmmaker after just reading this book. It's amazing. So I'm not saying I'm better than anyone. I'm just saying you can really learn from this book just by reading it. So I'm going to start reading through. I did a video about a week ago on this. Here's the cover art that I've got. I have, this is a program called Pages that I write my book in, and may write other books in. It's for Mac. They have ones for PC if you want to write your own book, but this is me reading through my book. Now I went through the first 21 pages already about in a previous video. I think I filmed it last week. And then I get to hear persistence of vision, and then I get to hear how to be a filmmaker. So we're going to continue with writing my book. I'm probably just going to try to read through the entire book because I think it's done. I think the book is done. It's about 321 pages. I've been writing it for a year, or more or less. A while I've been writing this, and it's 321 pages long. It tells you all about how to really be a filmmaker. Where did I see a capital A, capital N, capital D, and where did I see that? Oh, you can find places that physically print up and mail out copies of your movie to people when they're okay. Of your movie. This teaches you how to make your own movie. Okay. So I'm writing a book on how to write your own screenplay, then make a movie. This is how to be a writer, director, filmmaker, producer, stuff like that. Anyway, I hear absolute quiet downstairs. I don't know what that is. I don't know what Al Bob is doing down there. I don't know what he's doing. He may be watching my video. So let's get through this. Not get through it, you know. Let's like stop talking. Stop talking. Okay. Page 21, how to be a filmmaker. You know, I can't get my kids right now. I worked on it relentlessly all night and the day before and every day figuring out, you know, how to get my kids. I just made another video on that. You can check that out. It's a previous video before this. Okay, so I'm gonna do this while I'm snowed in. Snowed in. A big political figure of anxiety that I don't even know what he stands for. It does not happen to people when every human being is snowed in on the East Coast in Canada, everywhere where it snows, you know. Okay. How to be a filmmaker. The simplest way to actually be a filmmaker right now is to get an idea to film something. Get an idea to film something. Use any video or movie camera you're able to film it, edit whenever possible, and then get it seen by an audience. That's it. You're a filmmaker. There's much more than that. Now, of course, in this book, I will teach you how to do the best films you can, but sometimes it takes just going out there and doing it at whatever budget or level of production it is, even if it is filmed for 15 cents. Haha, I know that sounds funny, but being a filmmaker is really admitting to yourself that you really are a filmmaker, instead of saying to yourself discouraging things like, no, I'm an aspiring filmmaker, but not a filmmaker yet. You likely have already filmed something, or as soon as you have filmed some things and gotten people to see your work, you technically are a filmmaker. And any low or no budget short film or video with costumes, no matter how simple it may be, can be considered a short film or an example of your work, a calling card for you as a director or a director to direct bigger films. And if you have a lot more of your work, like short films, especially more well thought out ones, films with actual budgets, then you can put your best work edited together into what is known as a reel, or in other words, a portfolio of your best work as a filmmaker. A reel as a director or filmmaker is generally your most impressive work edited into one final video that includes your contact information. A reel is sometimes 90 seconds long or can be longer, but try not to have it more than 15 minutes. You know, there are various lengths. A reel can be 60 seconds. I can talk about this so much. I know so much about it. I can write more about what a reel is, and you know, anyway, you get the idea. Well, whether or not you have enough work to edit together a reel, you can look at whatever you filmed, no matter how big or small the budget or production value is, as long as you thought out some idea and filmed it, technically speaking, is a real film. And that's all you need, to go out there with a camera and get at least someone to watch your film, and you are a filmmaker. So there is not need to call yourself an aspiring. So there's no need to call yourself an aspiring filmmaker. Or if you are an introvert, then stay at home and film and upload your work. And that's it. You are a filmmaker. However, of course, you should continue learning as much as you can, and learn by going out there and filming, or staying in your house and filming and learning about editing or how to make your films look more professional. There's a big difference between a filmmaker and a professional filmmaker. A professional filmmaker earns money at filmmaking or earns a living at filmmaking, and it may take some time to get there to really do it professionally and not at an amateur level. What is a cinematographer? Oh. And of course, to really be a filmmaker, it may take years of effort and learning and work at film really be a good filmmaker. And others may not consider you a filmmaker if you only filmed on a phone and showed it to you showed it to your mom. No, showed it to your friends. LOL. Showed it to your friends. Many people in the industry know that to really be a good director or filmmaker, it may take many years of experience before you can do it at a more professional level. Now I gotta proofread that. And of course, to really be a filmmaker, there's a big difference between a filmmaker and a professional filmmaker. A professional filmmaker earns money at filmmaking or earns a living at filmmaking. And it may take some time to get there to really do it professionally and not at an amateur level. And of course, to really be a filmmaker, it may take years of effort and learning and work at film production to really be a good filmmaker. And others may not consider you a filmmaker. Others may not consider you a filmmaker if you only filmed on a phone and showed it to your friends. Many people in the industry know that to really be a good director or filmmaker, it may take, or even other professions on a movie set, like director of photography or gaffer, jobs maybe we will talk about later. Many people in the industry know that to really be a good director or filmmaker, or even other professions on a movie set like director of photography or gaffer, jobs on a movie we'll talk about later, it may take many years of experience before you can do it at a more professional level. What is a cinematographer? I had a professor at Chapman University tell me one time, let me take a little. I had a professor at Chapman University tell me one time, a professor who helped me distribute my short film in video stores in every U.S. state and get Pauly Shore to record an introduction for my short film, who told me, just go out there with a camera and film. Keep filming and learn as you go. That's all you need to do to become a good cinematographer and filmmaker. Of course, you should learn about cinematography and filmmaking in books, but at some point you can only learn so much in theory and have to go out there and do it. So when you get finished with this book, go out there and work on people's movies and see what a professional filmmaker, what a real professional movie set is like. Or, forget that and do what my professor said. Get a camera that is okay enough, like an iPhone or a good DSLR, preferably the best quality one you can afford within a reasonable budget, and go out there and get really good at filming with it. The more you film, the better you will get as a cinematographer and as a filmmaker. By the way, a cinematographer is a person who is in charge of the camera on a movie set. But a filmmaker should really learn how to operate camera himself or herself and be a cinematographer on some level. So the best thing to do is get a camera, film a lot, get really good at filming stuff and framing shots, the exposure, focus, lenses if it has interchangeable lenses on a more professional movie camera. Maybe get some simple lights and go out there and film. You learn as you go and keep getting better. So it can start simple or small or not as good, and as you work at filmmaking, you will naturally get better as you put in the effort and do it. You learn by doing. Try to be confident about your work at any level of filmmaking you are at. That helps with try to be within reason. Really do the work to make your films as good and good quality as you are as you're able to, of course, doing putting God and Jesus to make sure you are doing God's work as first important. We will talk more about this before you really get into okay. God's work. Okay, that's inherent. I've talked about that a tremendous amount. I don't need to keep writing about that. Really do the work to make your films as good in quality as you're able to. Without, wrongly prioritizing I'm just not going to talk about that too much. I said good. God created everything that's good. Inherent in that is God and Jesus. Really do the work to make your films as good and good quality as you're able to. You learn by doing. Now, a cinematographer is different from a filmmaker in general or director. A cinematographer is a person who actually operates camera or sometimes hires that out to part of his camera crew. A cinematographer is a person who actually operates a camera or sometimes hires that out to part of his camera crew on a bigger budget film. On bigger budget films. I shouldn't talk about that too much. I already talked about that. A physical camera operator, and then the assistant camera and second assistant camera, and sometimes other grips, and even the lighting department do what he says as he makes the creative choices as to how to film the movie using the camera, of course under the director's guidance and creative vision as to how the movie is to be filmed. But on a smaller budget, often the director also operates camera and is the cinematographer. So that's why my teacher, who is a professional working cinematographer, a really brilliant cinematographer, told me to just go out there with a camera and film. That's how you get good at filmmaking in cinematography. Some cinematographers prefer to work as a cinematographer as their main job instead of as a film director or filmmaker. Many cinematographers become a director or are already filmmakers, and many filmmakers operate their own camera. But generally when filmmakers get their start, they have to operate the camera themselves on their first short films. And many professional filmmakers continue to operate camera on their own productions or sometimes on a one-man crew in their work. You can still produce very professional work at a smaller budget and do not need to always film with a big crew where the director sits in a director's chair telling everyone what to do. Cinematography is an art form, framing the shot, using specific lenses to create a look, exposing a little lighter or darker for a certain look. The way you choose to film all of the stuff that is set up at the location or on a set, from the set design to the actors to the actual location or set you're filming in, that is framed like a painting you choose in front of camera. That's cinematography, like how you choose to set up the camera and how you use the camera to capture what the script says or the idea you want to be filmed. Again, it all serves the story and the director's creative vision for how he or she wants to show the story on a screen. Sometimes color choices, like what color temperature the light should look like, either more blue or more yellow, we will talk about what color temperature is later, but generally all lights are either more yellow or more blue. Daylight Daylight is bluer, and indoor regular traditional light bulbs are more yellow and called tungsten. We'll talk about cinematography again. You know, there are degrees Kelvin. The kind of light you use when filming, either daylight or tungsten, is measured in degrees Kelvin on a scale of either all daylight as your lighting source, which is, I think that's 3,500 degrees Kelvin, which is, I'm going to look it up to be sure, or whether all of your light is from more traditional, more yellow indoor light bulbs called tungsten light bulbs, which are blank degrees Kelvin. I gotta look it up to know the degrees Kelvin scale. Daylight tungsten, I think it's like 1,500 to 3,500 3200 degrees Kelvin, something like that. I think 3200, I think 1510, something like that. 1000. Let's see what it is. Tungsten bulb, yeah, is more yellow. It's like warmer and brighter, so it's a higher number. 2500 to 3500 degrees Kelvin. And oh no, I was wrong. A sunrise, sunset, clear sky. Real daylight is actually warmer or higher degrees Kelvin. It's been so long since I looked at these numbers because this is traditional film on, you do a daylight balance. You put a white piece of paper or white or a card in front of the camera that has something that's white. The newer cameras do it automatically. You fill the shot with absolute white, pure white, and it does an auto color balance for whatever light you're using. More yellow for indoor bulbs or outdoor light, which is more blue, and it balances for how that light reflects on the white. And then you zoom out, and then all the colors are appropriate. It's not too blue, not too yellow. It looks the right way it should, and you can do color correcting later in post, and that's part of cinematography. I could write that into the daylight is bluer. Daylight is more blue light. 4,000 degrees Kelvin, and indoor traditional light bulbs are more yellow and called tungsten at about 2,500 or 3,000 2,500 degrees Kelvin. I think I wrote about all this already. I'm not sure. I don't know. I might have to write it again. Daylight wasn't expecting to have to do more of this. I was up all night worrying about the kids, writing to Danica, really talking to her about how we're going to do this, to figure out how to get the kids, and then I finally got sleep. I was going to take it easy and feel okay today. That's cinematography, like how you choose to set up the camera and how you use the camera to capture what the script says or the idea you want to be filmed. Again, it all serves the story and the director's creative vision for how he or she wants to and God, of course. It all serves the story and God, of course, like everything we do. Like everything we do. Like everything we do. Again, it all serves the story and God, of course, like everything we do, and the director's creative vision for how he or she wants to show the story on a screen. Sometimes color choices a director director of photography, also called a cinematographer, has to make color choices like what color temperature the lights should look, either more blue or more yellow. We will talk about what color temperature is later, but generally all lights are either more yellow or more blue. Daylight is more blue looking light at about 4,000 degrees Kelvin, and indoor regular traditional light bulbs are more yellow and called tungsten at about 2,500 degrees Kelvin. The kind of light you use when filming, either daylight or tungsten, is measured in degrees Kelvin on a scale of either daylight as your lighting source. I think I just said that. Modern cameras can do a modern digital cameras can do a kind of auto white balance before filming in any given lighting set. Set. The fuck? That's somebody else trying to figure out what I'm talking about. Modern digital, in my thoughts of picking up on something that maybe I wasn't thinking about what I'm actually doing when I wrote that. Modern digital cameras can do a kind of auto white balance before filming in any given lighting conditions, which may be either more yellow or more blue light, all balanced properly by doing a white balance. Which is a card that fills the frame with the color white, and the newer digital cameras pick up on the more yellow or more blue light in the room that have an effect on the way the white looks, have an effect on the way the white looks. Have an effect on the way, where did I write that? Which is a card that fills the frame with the color white, and right, the new digital cameras pick up on the more yellow or more blue light in the room that have an effect on the way the white looks, either on the way the white looks, and the camera auto adjusts the white that is filling the frame to make it look all a standard standard color white, not color white, color of white that standard color of white, no matter how blue or yellow the lights are. It makes the white in front of the frame always look the same in any lighting conditions. Then you zoom out to film what you are really going to film, and everything in front of camera is color balanced correctly. Sheesh. Yeah. Great. Real filmmaking. Why do I have to do that instead of just being some really cool looking person that has like abs here, you know, definition on the side, really in good shape, no hair on it so it doesn't look like a fucking stupid ass, looks really cool, like looks really awesome, has long hair that's thick and looks beautiful for a man and looks cool like I'm like a young Fabio, and then just gets to show up and go fuck you. And it'd be so cool, or something that's like funny and a joke or something, and I'm like, I'm cool. Or something like that, but I look really good. My face actually looks really good. It doesn't look like shit, you know? And then, you know, I can play some cool emotional music that I originated the emotion as far as a human can. You know, God creates emotion, but it creates this really emotional feel, you know, music, and it's good, but you know, I don't know if that's as important nowadays. It might be kind of selfish. And instead I'm like thinking about all the technical, well, the reality of how you make films, and as simple a way as I can tell with somebody what color balance is. And that is how to color balance before filming something that is the one of the jobs of a cinematographer, along with exposure, focus, and other settings, and or other ways to film film, and other ways to use a camera as a canvas with the cinematographer, usually as a canvas. Focus on other ways to use a camera as a canvas. A professional cinematographer usually may take many years to be good at his job. A professional cinematographer may take many years to be good at his job. So you can imagine that it may take to really get good as a filmmaker, it may take at least 8 years to be a really amazing filmmaker, or more, maybe 20 years to really be able to create your best work as a filmmaker. However, it is really, really possible, and I have seen it done before, for filmmakers to create their best work within their first 2 years as a filmmaker. I will talk about that, about about a filmmaker I knew who did that in this book. Was amazing, the quality of films he produced almost immediately as he started as a filmmaker, or within the first year or two he went out there with a camera and started making films. However, it is really, really possible, and I've seen it done before, for filmmakers to create their best work within their first 2 years as a filmmaker. I will talk about a filmmaker I knew who did that in this book. Was amazing, the quality of films he produced almost immediately as he started as a filmmaker, or within the first year or two he went out there with a camera and started making films. One of them, he was able to raise a $200,000 budget, and was amazing how good started out as a filmmaker and became a professional filmmaker in the first year or two he went out there with a camera and started making films. Okay, so you can imagine that. Okay, he babbity da do da dee da day da dee da day. We will talk about cinematography again under the list of movie jobs. In this book, cinematography is a lot like a painting. Is kind of like a painting, and the cinematographer, under the director's guidance, creates art of his own, also with the lighting that the cinematography is in charge of, and he gives the gaffer or head lighting person much of the creative say to carry out how he generally wants the lights. All the other aspects of production, including cinematography, are all there to support the story under the director's creative leadership and vision, and of course have to be under the budget, like the producer makes sure everyone is doing okay so it is possible to make the movie happen. Okay. Okay. See what this is doing here. Trying to save my feces. Save my feces. No. Okay. Yeah. Okay. How you start to film. How you start to film a movie. Any movie starts with an idea. Any movie starts with an idea. That idea becomes a story. And finally, what all or most all professional movies have, a script, or a screenplay, as a feature-length script is called. And I will show you how to be a feature filmmaker with a real, properly formatted screenplay in this book. But again, when it comes down to it, to actually be a filmmaker, all you have to do is get a camera and go out there and really film in real life. You may not have every detail ready in the ideal way you would like it, but at some point, what differentiates a real filmmaker from an aspiring filmmaker is that the real filmmakers actually go out there and make films. Even if it is not ideal or as good as it can possibly be, they go out there or as in, I don't know, good is not always, good has connotations that can somewhat be bad. It's just a literal word. It does not always mean all the good that God created. Good has a few other random definitions. So within the English language, I'm hoping to God it's interpreted properly and people take it literally and see it as truth that I'm writing here. So I don't know, constantly stand up for the word good. Sometimes good is not always, the Bible's good, the good that God created. It can mean other random things. So even if it is not ideal or as good or amazing as it can good or amazing as it can possibly be, they go out there and film the thing they had an idea for. And in some instances, that may mean with only a story outline and some script. Of course, I'm not going to write that anymore. They may, okay, no, yeah. Any movie starts with an idea. That idea becomes a story. And finally, what all or most all professional movies have, a script or screenplay, as a feature-length script is called. And I will show you how to be a feature filmmaker with a real, properly formatted screenplay in this book. But again, when it comes down to it, to actually be a filmmaker, all you have to do is get a camera and go out there and really film in real life. You may not have every detail ready in the ideal way you would like it, but at some point, what differentiates a real filmmaker from an aspiring filmmaker is that the real filmmakers actually go out there and make films, even if it is not ideal or as good or amazing as it can possibly be. They go out there and film the thing they had an idea for, and in some instances, may mean with only a story outline and some script, maybe not even a finished script for some filmmakers trying to actually get done filming their first real short film or feature film. Of course, it's suggested to film short films before you begin a feature. At a smaller budget, you are the cinematographer, also called the director of photography, in most other movie jobs. You do everything. In a way, that is what a real filmmaker is. In a way, that is what a filmmaker really is. In a way, that is what a real filmmaker is. Knows about all other jobs because he has had to do them all other jobs in film because he has had to do them himself or herself and is creatively responsible for all jobs on a movie set. So it helps to know as much as you can about every job, including the cinematography, or at least something about cinematography as a director. This is funny. This is like something that is what I've had to do um, to make money, and not have to want to like kill myself. The other stuff was so. I mean, it hasn't been that easy. It's been, only, this is about 20% of the difficulty I've had in my life, and it has still really, really not been easy. The other shit that I've had to do to pay my bills, which made me want to die thousands of times, maybe, or hundreds of times. I'd say hundreds of times. It's so difficult. So I had to do this. I had to do this to have some hope or good, or whatever fucking great bullshit ass words they fucking try to push for that other shit, is what made me want to do this. So I was finally okay. It's like I had to do this work at it with all that I had, at times when I was doing God's work, and being there for my kids, and doing God's work as best that I could. And for some reason it's good. This work is good. The other work was good too, but it was more really for others, in my life, who I had to have a balance of, because I was kind to them, and I continued being kind to others, and they're really kind of people I had to honor and be kind to, and do my best to, some stuff I can't make sense of, but this is good work that I've had to do, and I've never been mean about it. And I did get a little bit mean about the other work I had to do to pay bills, when this still wasn't making enough money after I'd worked at it for 25 years, and I think it had something to do with me being in a place where they didn't make movies for money, generally, pretty much. I've never met an indie filmmaker in Roanoke who makes a living at it, besides, if you call video production films, and some films, like Danica made some money at it. She made some money at it on her channel and stuff. But here it was video production on YouTube, or but it's possible. It may be possible, and after you've worked at something for 30 years of doing the work behind the camera to make it quality productions, the real filmmaking that I did. This is to show you how to do the real filmmaking. It's not to be some carrot top on a stage, like being in front of everyone. He's a person who's in front of camera. When I first started filmmaking, you didn't see me in the films. I learned how to do the real filmmaking. This is the real work to do to make professional films, good films, to really be a filmmaker. And I don't want to complain about it, or whatever people try to say that I did, for just having to fucking survive. How awful it is having to pay bills. But it doesn't have to be that way. But the devil made it difficult for human beings. The devil messed things up for us. See, when Adam and Eve were in the Garden of Eden, we didn't have to work for, or struggle, or suffer, or feel bad ever. We had eternal life in paradise, in Eden, in the kingdom of heaven. On earth. It was on earth, and we had that. And then the devil, the snake, who is the devil, not every snake. Some snakes are kind. May get into, some animals may actually get into heaven. This is all talked about in the Bible. Humankind has, obviously has dominion on the animals. And you can read more about this and understand more about what the Bible really says. But the devil introduced sin to Adam and Eve, and then the man had to sweat and work. But I think that may be wrong. I think that may mean God's work. The man had to do God's work. But I think that means he had to work at a job. And the woman doesn't have to work. However, the woman has to, when they're married or when they're honoring their parents, they have to do what their parents want, or what can help their husband, and they can, that's not a bad relationship. They're equal. The husband and wife are equal. They're not equal to the parents. Once you get married, you don't honor your parents first. You honor your parents second after your husband or wife, and you still have to honor your parents, and be a good parent if you have kids. And if you're not married, you have to honor your parents. So if they want you to work as a woman, you may have to work as a woman. But in the Bible, it says a woman does not have to work. That's a man's job. So I talk about stuff like this in this book. And in filmmaking, it's called a theme that you choose when you're writing a narrative screenplay or an idea to film a movie. One of the themes, the main themes in most Hollywood movies traditionally, but that's not what it's all about. It's really about the Bible. But in Hollywood movies, one of the themes is good versus evil. And good generally wins in the Hollywood films. But there are many different genres, and you can't look at a Hollywood film or something you watch, in a movie or video and think that in any way is comparable to the real truth, the infinite beauty, it's not the infinity gauntlet like some of those movies. It's forever. It's the real beauty of God, Jesus, the Bible. But some of those movies are not the infinity gauntlet. Some of them are really, really good. They have a really good moral purpose. Those movies are the same as random people you see at any monetary level, whether they're rich, poor, all the regular people you see every day. That's what those movies are like. It's no more sinful than any other job. I don't like how some people attack the movie industry out of jealousy, or they think they're like, is that what we're supposed to aspire to, being like a famous person? I don't know what they're angry about, but those people in the movie industry do that stuff as jobs, and they can work as a director or job in a movie set, or filmmaker, or it has nothing to do with sin in particular. They don't have to sin to do it, unless for those people who are against that stuff, they're not supposed to do it. But don't be angry at the movie industry. It's the same as any other industry. I talked to James Gunn one time. I wrote an email to James Gunn, and this was before he did Guardians of the Galaxy, but he was still pretty big. He had gotten paid 7 figures. He said in an interview, he said he got paid 7 figures to write Scooby-Doo, and he was being a writer. He got really good by writing a bunch of screenplays. You don't want to compare yourself to some other person. I was in Virginia the entire time, and I did stuff with real estate because I had to, and by some miracle it's okay. But I talked to him on an email, and I said, why have I not gotten the recognition I felt I deserved for having to work that hard on my films? And I had come back to Virginia, like there are any industry professionals here that could notice my work or get me to be paid properly, other than my parents and Danica and other loved ones, whoever the loved ones happen to be. That's what my life ended up being like, because I had to. That's how God wanted things to be, but not some random thing that I don't understand. And so, but James Gunn said the movie industry is not. He actually said that one time. He said, he wrote to me in an email. I wrote to him asking him. I said, why why have I not gotten there? Some special thing I'm supposed to do to get into the industry? Like, do you have to be some certain way, be Jewish or something like that? What do I have to do? When I was younger, I thought I wouldn't be Jewish now, but I didn't want to be Jewish. I asked him like, why have my films not gotten the notice? I thought I'd get, 1,000 times or 100 times or 10. Back then I thought 100 times I would get in return what I had actually gotten in return for having to work that hard and to suffer at each one of my films doing God's work. It was not easy, and so I asked him, why has it not gotten there? And James Gunn said, is there something I have to do to get into the industry? He's like, why? Is there something I'm missing? Like, is it some like Illuminati thing or something? Like, why did they get you get all the money, all those people got the money for, and I didn't? What am I doing wrong? And he said, it's the same. He said it's the same as any other industry. There are good people, bad people. It's like any other industry, and if you're really good at it and around the right people, of course, he had to move to LA to be around the right people to be able to get a job working as a writer on Scooby-Doo and whatever heck else. He you have to be really good at what you do and be around the right people. You can't be like, but now they have the internet. The internet was just starting. You were just starting to be able to do things from random towns, USA. When I moved back here in 2005 is when MySpace, YouTube started going bigger. A little later, 2008, a little before 2008, but I got on Facebook in 2008. There's Facebook, other social media. I don't use Facebook. I don't know why. I guess it's like, not allowed in my family or something. I don't know. Maybe it kind of is, but I think Mark Zuckerberg has it like, people can't really get much of anywhere on there. At one time, I could say whatever I felt like on MySpace. I could say however I felt like at a liberal level, whatever, like wherever the fuck I felt like. And there are all these movie people from LA and in the industry and stuff, and they're like, he's kind of cool, and they knew who I was somewhat. Some of them, I added all these famous comedians, and they're like, and they listened to my ideas. And say whatever the fuck I felt like, or even if it was a Republican or whatever, and be myself. And the older generation didn't know how to get on MySpace or didn't care because it was so new. You could do like almost be however you felt and be true to yourself. And they didn't try to really fucking corner and attack me until they try to make me a champion for the right's evil, which happened there in Roanoke to me. And that was horrifying to go out into a waking nightmare of hell, which I could see, of fear that the things that they would do to me if I didn't, for having been so liberal when I was younger. And it was a waking nightmare of hell what my life became. And sometimes I wonder if I had stayed in California, would I have never had to be a part of it, would I have never had to be that awful sellout, so they didn't put me in cages and shit for hundreds of years underground in the horrors, unimaginable horrors that were shown to me. That was hell. I didn't know what it was if I didn't do what they said. And then by some miracle, with my faith in God and Jesus, before I was too mean to anyone, I went across the entire country like Jesus, make sure anything that I had done in my thoughts out there to try to change things, which change was not allowed. It was like change it back or something, but change was the enemy. And it was like an awful thing. And before any of that got set in motion in the nation, I said, those were all thoughts. I did Jesus's work. I went out there like Jesus, going across the entire nation. I was going to see my kids, and ended up really standing up for the kinds of people who I had been mean to in my thoughts, and trying to change things out there with this awful borderline almost occult stuff that caused me years of suffering. It was unimaginable. And I was willing to have all that suffering come back to myself and go through worst fears they showed me to make sure everyone was okay, that I didn't hurt anyone, that everyone would be okay in the nation who I thought maybe I had been a fear-driven, mean person about. I was willing to suffer for all of them, and by some miracle, Jesus was with me, and I did that. And I didn't know, but it was so frightening. It was so scary, and I was willing to go through all of the all of my worst fears that I had to. But Jesus helped me to only face some of them. Like, I was afraid of being hospitalized. I had to be hospitalized. I had to face a fear of being raped, given AIDS. There was way more unimaginable hellish suffering. The genetic manipulation they could do to a human, keeping, it was unimaginable, keeping in a cage. And I don't even want to talk about how horrific and hellish it was. I didn't know till years later that it was hell that I had seen, and Jesus had enabled me allowed me to see hell. And based on my upbringing with God and Jesus and knowing how to be kind to others, I finally, before it was too late for my soul, I was willing to suffer for all of them like Jesus. I did my best that I could, and by some miracle, everyone was okay. No one got hurt. And then they put some other non-liberal President Trump in, and then now they have the liberal, or whatever he's called, Democrat, or I don't know. And so no one was hurt. Nothing bad happened. And by some miracle, they let some black president. And then they had this guy who was like against whatever the fuck it was, almost the opposite of Obama, like Trump. And then now it's like everything was okay, and the nation was okay. By some miracle, the entire nation was okay. And see, I tried to change the entire world at a younger age, and I was like gonna make it more my own cool ideas that I thought were like, that's stupid. I don't like how mainstream is, and I tried to change it. And then they put Obama, of all people, in office, which was like not what I was expecting. And then all this stuff happened that was kind of a result of me, I think, trying to change the world as a filmmaker. I wanted to go out there and change the world as a creative type. And I've heard from a big casting director, I think runs one of the main not casting director, this guy who he owns like creative artist agency or one of those places. And he said, I finally got it. People go out to California, they want to change the world. These really creative types, artists and stuff, and they don't like how things are when they're really young, and they want to change the world, change everything, change how things are. So that's how they really are. And I was one of those people. So I tried to do things big. I made a movie with a famous person with me in the lead at one of the best film schools there was and is today. But there are other better film schools, but I don't know how big or small of a level I did it, but it was scary. And I sinned a little bit, and I found what was really most important, that the sin is bad, and what was really most important is God and Jesus. That's really the truth of everything. I found out what everything's really all about. And the more you read about the Bible and understand, that's really what things are about. So I haven't been able to make to produce a film or make a film since 2014, because God had me do different things. And instead of being whatever, but I guess I was a filmmaker. I did things at a kind of big level. But this is just showing you how to do God's work. I always did God's work. That's what's most important, to do God's work. However big or small it is. This might be a small level that I did it at. I don't even know. But I had sinned, and I found the sin really came back to hurt me. It hurt others, and it hurt me. And that's not how you be. That caused so much unimaginable suffering. But so I found what's really good: God and Jesus. God and Jesus. Then everything's okay. When you really follow God and Jesus, everything's okay. By a miracle, I made up for the sin that I had done. And I always did God's work as a filmmaker. I always did God's work as a filmmaker. I always did God's work as a filmmaker. There's this one film this other guy filmed. and it was kind of done in meanness, and I was like watching, and it was awful, and he got rid of the film. It was awful. I hope to God that's okay. And yeah, and all my films and videos are good. God's work is what I did. You know, of course, people mess up and sin. We can't help it. And yeah, and but God and Jesus is what's the most important. Whether or not you're really good at doing something, whatever it is, but I am good at doing filmmaking stuff, and so something's annoying me. I don't know what it is. It's like a annoying thing. I don't know what it is. So I'm only up to page 28 or whatever. This is obviously I've written 323 pages of my book on how you be a filmmaker. I'm gonna get it printed up pretty soon. I think. I hope. I hope to God. I'm gonna print it as a real book. It's up to God. He may have a different plan, but I think this is something that He wants me to do. Maybe by some miracle it'll finally make the money that I think it deserves. It's been, I don't want to talk about it. I don't know if you have any idea of how little it's gotten that I can't even say. I'm supposed to keep quiet about it, so then maybe it will be something as, I don't know. I'm gonna go. I don't know. I don't know what it is. Just be happy with how things are now. It's different. The balance of how things are not the way that I would have had planned. Go to LA, party, be famous, be the coolest one. Like all those famous people I saw, be the number one on earth. Without any shit bothering me, without any bullshit ass anxiety, smoking weed, being the coolest one. I thought that would be it, and I'd get to have sex with these attractive girls back then. I'd call them, and if I had done that, I might be in hell for all eternity, literally raped by demons and shit for unimaginable ways every moment, for all eternity. Who knows what would have happened? So God had me do things. God had me do things a different way, and I'm so happy. I'm so thankful, grateful, humbly. I don't know what the fuck. For whatever reason, it's supposed to be the way it is now. And Jesus says, "Be happy with what you have now and the way it is now, and try not to want a bunch more." But you have to work at goals and set goals for some people. For me, I'm supposed to work at goals, I think, and work hard. In our family, we worked hard. You can't just let everything go and do nothing all the time. Sometimes it may be appropriate if it's at all causing sin. Oh, just don't do any of that. Don't do any of that at all. It's not worth it. It's not worth it, because then that's any sin that you try to use to get more in life would hurt yourself, and then it would be so awful, the suffering, unimaginable. You don't want to live that way. And I was like, well, thank God I found God in Jesus. That's what everything's really about. That's how everything's okay. It's all in the Bible. But I know how to be a good filmmaker, and I did God's work when I was doing it, and I worked hard to be good at it, so I can show you how to be a filmmaker. So I got up to page 28 in this video, but I've written the entire book. It's 321 pages, or 23 pages, or whatever, however long this book is. I'm going to write it more, rewrite, stuff like that. I'm going to go. I don't know what some stuff means. I don't know. I don't know what that means, man. I don't know. An imaginary thing right here of anxiety. So forget that. Get away from it, man. Yo, all this, you know what it is? Caffeine. 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 The concept, not the concept, but what caffeine really literally is. It creates something, those beans, well, it creates a reaction from almost like an allergic reaction to the beans, where your body, it puts it into almost like not adrenaline, but like it compensates for that bean that's not supposed to be there, or is supposed to be there, but then it gets you to like react to the bean. It's like, here's the bean and you're trying to act like this, and that can become an anxiety, the bean that's not supposed to be there, if you think, if you're thinking about it too much, or for whatever reason, or you can use it to empower yourself, like it's the coffee bean and you're I don't know what it is. It's a drug. It's a real drug. And I did have some caffeine, so I don't know if that's good or bad, and it affects people differently, but I did have the caffeine, so hopefully I didn't have too much of it. And I think this video is pretty long for what it is. I don't know what it is, and it's like an anxiety of this stuff happening to me from continuing trying to do this. I'm gonna stop and do something different, because I've done this too much, and I'm gonna go. It was giving me some anxiety. I'm gonna go. Okay. I'm gonna go. I gotta do something different. I've been sitting down here too long. I wrote enough of my screenplay for now. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go. Bye. Bye. I gotta get up and do something different. This is I don't know what the heck it is. It looks pretty strong. No, it looked weak. I gotta go. Bye. Bye. This is my how to write a screenplay, be a filmmaker. This is my how to be a filmmaker book. I gotta go. I'm gonna write more of it later. I gotta turn the video off. Something is bothering me. I don't know what it is, and I'm not gonna worry about it. You don't blame others. You don't blame others. Sometimes you can let it go, or just not worry about it, or whatever it is, and just, I gotta go. But God and Jesus is what it's really all about. And this book is gonna show people how to really be book is gonna show people how to really be a filmmaker. Okay, I'm gonna go. Bye. Dear God and Jesus, be with us on earth to do your work. Amen. Okay, bye. Check out more videos if you want. That's it. Get here now, Danica. Bring the kids here. Sure, 1,000 miles away? The heck? Okay, I'm gonna go. That's not a distance to commute to see your own children, That's why I didn't, get here now, please God and please God and Jesus, please God and Jesus, help us be okay by doing your work on earth, but just please don't let it suffer anymore. Amen. I'm gonna go. Bye. I hope my kids are okay, because it is. I don't know how I'm gonna get there again, unless somehow I'm just supposed to go all the way there again, not knowing if it's gonna be not knowing if they're gonna be here again by some miracle. They're here again. Everything's okay. Okay. Bye. you can watch more films or whatever on my channel. I'll put links here later. There's links in the video description below. I gotta go. Yo, man, too fast. I gotta, I gotta get out of here. Too hand, man. Yeah. I don't want to end up like that. I gotta get up and try to do some physical activity before I act like a fucking idiot on Miller shit. No way, man. I'm not unhealthy as shit. I'm gonna go to working out, health and fitness, feeling good. So I'm not some fucking darn shit. I don't know. He's dead like a corpse thrown over to bodies and shit because you didn't be healthy enough. Some people act like, fuck you, ain't gonna do that. I don't know what I'm talking about. See? Anxiety. I do, but it's like, I gotta get out of here. This will teach you how to be a filmmaker if you want. And if not, don't worry about it. Find God in Jesus. God in Jesus. God will help everything to be okay. When you really understand what the Bible says, that's what everything's really about. I found out. Please stay away from me if you're that sinful, and don't push your evil shit on me. Okay, no offense to you, but some of those people, you can only reach out to them so much before they try to bring you down with the demons and shit they're caught up in. They're gonna bring you to hell for all eternity. So please find God and Jesus before it's too late for you. Okay, that's gonna make your life horrible and suffering, unimaginable suffering. The shit that it got you all caught up in before is demons and shit. Some of those people. So please find God and Jesus before it's too late and get away from me. Don't hurt me based on the sin that you got involved in. Okay, that occult shit. Every time you do it, it hurts yourself and hurts others. That sin. I found out the truth about it. Okay. Please don't get me caught up in that stuff. I don't want to try to reach out to people anymore. They can fucking kill you with the demons and shit they're caught up in, and I don't want to try to convert anyone who's not supposed to. God wrote in a book where we're going to go when we die, and knows where we're going to go. We have to do our best work, almost unimaginably difficult work, but not that bad, because Jesus is there to help us be okay, and only gives us as much as we can. And God is a good God. God is an actually good God, and it's not going to be that bad for us, but we got to do our best God's work, so it's not unimaginably bad. You can't go around hurting others in some weird ass made up ways that don't work. Unless it hurts yourself, it's going to hurt bad, and it'll hurt others bad. And I think, when you sin too much. But I don't know. It may not hurt that bad. I don't know. It's because some non-believers may get into heaven, but it's unlikely. So I'm gonna go. It's all in the Bible. I don't know, but please don't hurt me with your mean ways if those are the mean ways that you started to do and stuff. I don't know what to say about that. It's kind of scary. So Jesus says, show love and kindness to everyone. But some of that shit is so scary. I'm gonna go. Bye. I don't always have to be some really good looking person. It's not really who I am. I follow God and Jesus, but I think that makes me happy enough. Without that, I don't know what I would do. I might die. We are the way we are for a reason. I don't know. I'm not pushing God and Jesus on you, but I'm saying God is what it's really about. I found the truth. However you want to look at it, however I look, however things, God is real, and that's what reality is about. Don't do the occult stuff. Try to get away from it before it's too late. Go to God and Jesus. Understand as much as you can before it's too late. And please don't hurt me with the stuff if you want to keep doing things your way. The demons may have a hold of some of those people too much, and I don't know, or they may or may not. Maybe they're not that bad. Maybe there's a chance for them. Maybe there are various levels of suffering in the lake of fire that people go to. Maybe some of them are burned right up to ash, and they don't even have to suffer in the lake of fire, and they no longer exist. Because God is really good. God is really good. But some of them, for eternity, their suffering will go into eternity. They'll be burned to ash, and their suffering and torment and darkness away from the love of God and Jesus will carry on for all eternity. It's unimaginable. So, it's really serious. You got to try to be as good as you can. You might get burned up instantly and no longer exist. The Bible says that will be death, the second death for those who are wicked and stuff like that. So try not to be wicked and try to be good. And I don't want to try to, judge anyone because I don't know what's gonna happen. But don't get caught up in that evil stuff. And some of that stuff is scary to me, because I reached out to someone and tried to really get them to find God and Jesus. They were not into that, and this awful shit happened to me. It went on for a couple years or so, trying to be kind to someone who I think was too caught up in that evil shit. There's this other person, and please leave me alone. I hope to God those people get away from me. Please, God, protect me from those people and keep doing things your way or whatever. Maybe, in the second life, when you're risen on Judgment Day, maybe if you go to hell for all eternity, you'll be burned right up and it won't, you won't exist anymore and you won't have to suffer. Maybe for some of those people who are more sinful and they didn't sin that much. So maybe it'll be kind of okay for them. I don't know. But please, leave me alone. Please try not to hurt me based on just because I believe in God and Jesus. I don't think I'm any better than you. I don't know. God will judge us. But please leave me alone. Some of those people, because it's scary. It's scary, the sin that they got into. And just the occult, just from doing things in an occult way, it's pretty bad. Because I at one time was interested in some of that. And it caused unimaginable suffering for me. It caused unimaginable suffering for me. However the fuck I look now, I know this shit right here. Yep, looks bad because I'm 30 pounds overweight. Oh, whoop the shit. He's got a way to finally feel okay again. Let's attack him with that shit. Because the old whiskey's doing it tonight to look young, though, because we're non-believers, and they might. I don't. I'm not a non-believer. I'm not a non-believer. I believe in God and Jesus, but I can't judge any of those people. There may be some non-believers who suffer so much and are still righteous who get into heaven, but I can't judge them and I don't know. So I'm going to go. Okay. And really finding God and Jesus in the Bible, that shows us how everything is. It's like how to really be so we know we'll be okay. And it's not easy for any of us. I often did not want to live. It was so difficult, and it's from my sin, I think. But now it's like, I think I've repented enough and suffered thousands of times wanting to die. It was awful. And now I think it's not from my sin anymore. I have a good feeling. I got a feeling from God. I don't have to suffer with depression anymore. It's a miracle I made it from being kind and good. So I don't have to suffer with depression anymore, but there's some other thing that's like, it's from sin. It's either from the sin of others or our own sin that hurts us. And I think that was from the sin of others that tried to get me to keep being depressed. I think that's what ended up happening to me a little bit. So there's some other person. It's the sin, and the occult kind of says it's okay to sin a little bit. So that's why it's dangerous, because anytime there's sin, it hurts us and hurts others. And that's how we're all going to die, from sin. So I can't judge how sinful it is. It may not be as sinful. And maybe, we all have good souls. But I'm going to go. It's all in the Bible. This is me writing my book, How to Be a Filmmaker. Bye. Make sure to try to look young right here from the side. I'm young looking at that. Oh, I don't look good. No, that doesn't matter. Okay. Bye.